All right, we're back into regular session. This time, we're now moving to public hearing number 4. Public hearing number 4 is a possible motion on annexation for the Calvary Chapel property, about 1.6 acres, and that's annexation number 623. Diane Ken is presenting.
All right, so to orient you to this location, this is Shiflin Road at Center Street, and it's the part of Shiflin Road that's closest to the US 11010 interchange. The property is owned by Calvary Chapel. It does have a single-family home on the property. It's been rezoned to office and institutional. I believe they have an office on that location, but they do not have town water and sewer, so they're asking for annexation so that they can get town services. And staff does recommend approval.
All right. Any questions for Diane? All right, great. Not seeing any. Let me ask if the applicant wishes to speak. Come on up, please state your name and address for us.
Good evening, Pastor Lance Bell. I live in Fuquay, 1461 Cairo Way. I did not really come prepared to speak, but I'm here to answer any questions you might have. We would ask the council to approve the annexation so we can have access to quality water for the residents, which is currently being used as a business for that property.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Bell?
So what business is on the property?
So it's a residential property that is currently being used as a small business. A siding company rents the property from the church at this time.
And it's an old house, residential
yes,
house.
It's an old residential.
It's been modified.
An old house that's modified, being used as a business.
All right.
Conditionally.
Anything else for Mr. Bell? All right, thank you, Mr. Bell. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. I see, since Mr. Bell signed up, he's already spoken, so let me see if, is it James Mercaro?
I will need to speak.
Oh, okay. You wave, you pass? All right, thanks for being here, though. All right, having reached the end of the list, I'll close the public hearing, but let me see if council has anything they'd like to ask of anybody, or we can discuss a possible motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. Discussion? Not hearing any, I'll call for the vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. All right, that motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. And now we move to public hearing number 5, which is a quasi-judicial public hearing. So if those of you who are still here for that, thanks for sticking around. I will follow the formalities, since quasi-judicial public hearings are part of what we are required to do and follow the state law for this. Town council normally functions in a legislative capacity. Special use permit hearings are quasi-judicial, which means that the council acts essentially as a court of law. The burden is upon the applicant for the special use permit to put on evidence to show that they meet the criteria found in the town's Unified Development Code. Anyone opposed to the application must put on evidence of a similar kind showing the criteria have not been met. Testimony must be given under oath, and all testimony and evidence provided to the council must be competent, material, and substantial. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes, competent evidence does not include opinion testimony of lay witnesses on certain matters. Hearsay evidence will not be admitted. The parties have the right to cross-examine witnesses and to present rebuttal evidence. The town council will apply the criteria contained in the UDO and make its decisions based on the evidence and testimony presented at the hearing. The town council will now take up the case of a special use permit 17 SUP 05 for the East Williams Street cell tower located at 1501 East Williams Street. At this time, I'll open the public hearing and ask the town clerk to go ahead and swear in all those who wish to testify. If you intend to testify and you're planned for tonight, please come up here towards the town clerk. While you're getting set up, I'll ask council to make sure they've identified that they have the council checklist, which looks like this. The reason we ask about the checklist, thank you very much, Ms. Town Clerk. The reason I ask about the checklist is so that we can review it as the presentation is being presented, and that you can make notes now so that if you have comments later, we can jump straight to them. At this time, I'll ask if the applicant will identify him or herself, the supporters and opponents. So, applicant?
Good evening. I'm Tom Johnson of the law firm of Nexon Pruitt at 4141 Park Lake Avenue, Suite 200 in Raleigh, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant.
All right, thank you. And is there any opposition presenting tonight? All right, not seeing any. That will make things move a bit smoother, I expect. At this time, I'll ask council members to identify if they've had any communications about this particular case, if they have any relational or financial conflict with the case, and if they can impartially identify and make a decision impartially. So, as normal, I will start with Councilman Jensen and ask him.
I have no conflicts. I have not had any conversations, and I believe I can make a reasonable decision.
Thank you.
No conversations, no conflicts, interactions. I think I can make a sound decision.
Thank you.
No communication, no contacts, and I can be impartial.
All right. I as well, if needed, I have no communication, no conflicts, and I can be impartial.
I as well have no communication, no conflicts, and can be impartial in my decision.
All right.
I've had no communications, I have no conflicts, and I can be impartial.
All right. Thank you very much, all. Have any council members gone to view the site as a result of this being on our agenda?
No.
Okay. No one has. At this time, I'll ask applicant if he has an opening statement. All right, no opening statement. Does staff have an opening statement? All right. And with no opposition, we move to presenting evidence. Town staff will appear first in presenting the evidence and witnesses. And as always, each witness must identify themselves and their area of expertise so they can prove themselves to be competent.
My name is Shelley Mayo. I have a master's degree in city planning from UNC Chapel Hill, and I've been a professional planner with the town for 4 years. This special use permit was submitted in order to revise one that had been issued on August 1st, 2017. The site, just to give you some orientation of the site, this is East Williams, this is Lufkin Road, and this down here is a portion of the overall site. This is the Argos Ready Mix cement plant. That cement plant has been there since at least 1993 and precedes the adoption of the UDO. It is a legal non-conforming site. The applicant did hold a neighborhood meeting on March 28, 2017. That neighborhood meeting report is in your staff report. The northeast portion of this site is undeveloped woodland. Excuse me. This is where the proposed communication tower, there we go. This is where the proposed communication tower will be located. As I said, a special use permit for this facility was approved on August 1st, 2017. At that time, the applicant did not have approval from the underlying property owners to use the existing private drive that's adjacent to Pristine Water Drive. So this whole area is a little complicated as far as access goes. Technically speaking, this is Pristine Water Drive. This is Lufkin Drive. This is what we will be calling the unnamed private drive because it doesn't have a name. Because they weren't able to get access at the time from the underlying property owners, staff required that they provide a 30-foot wide separate drive parallel to the existing private drive. They were only able to get permission from half of the underlying property owners, which would have limited them to half of the road, thus creating traffic problems. Since that time, the applicant has actually obtained permission to use the existing private drive and would like to amend their site plan and special use permit to remove the requirement to build a separate parallel drive. This is a little bit better image of this. The orange area here is what was approved in the prior special use permit, and this is that parallel drive that we talked about. The gray here is the paved area surrounding, so the unmarked drive and pristine water. This green is what the applicant is proposing now. They've just submitted proof to the town that they've gotten permission from the underlying easement owners for this access drive, and they would now like to build a shorter driveway to connect directly to it. In order to change their access, the applicant's required by the UDO to go back through the special use permit process, which is what we're doing now. And because they're also having to do less improvements, they are able to reduce the amount of RCA that they're dedicating down from approximately 5,300 square feet in the first special use permit to 2,780 square feet and still meet the 20% requirement. The minor site plan that's a part of the special use permit does meet the requirement for resource conservation area. Public utilities this will not connect to town Apex water sewer utilities. There will be no storm drainage required because they disturb less than the minimum amount. The project is required to provide screening from off-site view and is being met using 6-foot tall shrubs. And the required parking and loading that the UDO mandates is being shown for this facility. The proposed cell tower is consistent with the Apex transportation plan, and planning staff recommends approval as shown. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
All right, at this time, I'll ask for cross-examination questions for Shelley Mayo's testimony from council. All right, not hearing any, let me ask the applicant if he has any cross-examination questions. All right, thank you very much, Ms. Mayo. At this time, I'll ask the applicant to please come forward and present their testimony.
My name is Tom Johnson. I'm an attorney. I've been practicing for 32 years, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant. Ms. Mayo's correct. All we're doing is coming here to amend the original site plan to use an existing it's designated as unmarked drive that we had hoped to use from the beginning. Basically, that road straddles the right-of-way for the old railroad that was at that location. The part toward the tower site was owned by our landlord, Argos, and so we had permission to use that, but the other half, because it went over that line, we did not, because it involved various other property owners. We've since gotten their consent. We have an easement agreement signed that'll be recorded this week, allowing us to have access on that unmarked drive that's already prepared, and it avoids us having to do another crossing of the gasoline pipeline that is located at that location. So we'll be able to use the existing drive and not have to make another crossing. So that's all that prevented us from doing it last time, and that's been resolved at this point. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about the access.
All right, counsel, this is your chance to cross-examine Mr. Johnson.
I had a question,
Right.
not really about the access, but it's about cell towers in general. So do you work with a lot of cell tower?
I've been working with cell towers for probably over 25 years.
Okay, well, good. Obviously, people don't want a tower in their backyard.
Sure.
And technology changes real fast with these cell phones. So, are the trends such that the technology will allow the towers to reach further than they do right now? And cause I know that area is pretty
Right.
poorly served, and when I was going through there. But I mean, are we building all these things, and then in 10 years they'll be able to go 10 miles or 20 miles per tower? Or
Not really. It's probably more the opposite, because as the towers are used more, there's more demand on the tower, therefore the signal covers less territory.
Okay.
The other things that have happened are couple of things. One, people are dropping landline phones and depending on wireless phones for communication, therefore you need a stronger signal to penetrate the walls of buildings and residential dwellings. The other demand that's on the system is the data demand, and data doesn't travel as far as voice or text messages. So the towers actually need to be closer. You'll start with the urbanization to start to see shorter towers. This last session of the General Assembly, there was a new bill passed, HB 310, which you may have heard about, allowing for what are called small cells in the rights-of-way, that is attaching smaller antennas on top of utility poles, traffic signals, that sort of thing.
Let me pause you here for a second,
Sure.
Mr. Johnson. I just want to be clear, Mr. Johnson is an attorney,
Right.
Right.
so his area of expertise is law as opposed to
Well, that's why I asked
cell
about.
phone. Right, but he's not able to be, even though he has experience as an attorney, I want to be careful about accepting his testimony in cell phone technology and futures,
Okay,
considering he's an attorney.
that's fair.
Because this is quasi-judicial, I have to be pretty careful on this.
I think the questions are more related to something that's not related necessarily to the permit, but I was just explaining how technology's
Okay.
worked, having done it for so long, so that was it.
Okay.
But if you, I'm happy to provide any other information you may want, at another
And I'm
time.
not suggesting anything he
Right.
said is
Mhm.
right or wrong, but I just want to
Right.
be clear on the expert
Right.
level. Since he didn't bring a cell phone technology expert or somebody who plans for the future of cellular technology or communications or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, and I agree with that.
Yes.
But again, in urbanization and data demands on top of voice demands, you'll see more sites of one nature or another to cover smaller areas. But this is what's called an infill site because of the need in that area, as you recognize.
The RCA is separate from the actual location. Obviously, I guess they purchased that separate.
We've arranged that separately with our landlord. It's part of the same tract that we're leasing from the landlord, and we've just arranged that with Argus to use that portion as that resource conservation area.
Okay. The reason I was kind of curious is because we do require twice, I think, if it's separated, but maybe this is still on the same property. I'm not arguing one way or the other.
I think the issue was it was still on the same tract,
That's what.
and so we're able to do it that way. And it's not remote,
Okay.
to my understanding.
All right. I mean, it's not the biggest piece in the world.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Fortunately, it makes that situation better by having this drive because we're, much better situation.
Yeah, this makes all the sense in the world.
Right.
Any other questions? All right, does staff have any questions? All right. All right, thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
There not being any opponents, there will be no testimony presented by opponents. So at this time, I'll ask if staff have any non-repetitive rebuttal evidence to present.
No, sir.
All right, does the applicant have any non-repetitive rebuttal evidence to present? All right, thank you. At this time, I'll ask staff if there are any closing arguments to make. All right, how about the applicant? All right. All right, thank you very much. Council members, I'd like for you to refer to your checklist that hopefully you were able to follow through. And at this time, I'll ask, this is your last and final opportunity to ask a question of either staff or the applicant before I close the public hearing. All right, not hearing any, I'll ask the question. Referring to your council checklist, do you see anything in there that you wish to raise as a concern or a topic? All right, not hearing anything, and with the public hearing closed, I'll ask for a possible motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any discussion on the motion to approve? All right, not hearing any, I'll call for the vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson, for coming out. Ms. Mayo, thank you very much for walking us through another quasi-judicial public hearing.
That was one of the least painful ones, actually. They're all painful.
I was gonna say, it feels like we're getting better at quasi-judicial public hearings, and I'm not sure that's something I wanna put on my resume. All right, that concludes our public hearings for tonight. Hey, we still have public here, look at that, that's great. We now go to, old business, which is none, unfinished business, there is none. We now move to new business, and, Council Member Killingsworth wishes to give a brief report on an event that she attended.
Yes, so this past weekend I was invited to, attend an event, called Yoga for Health, Health for Humanity. And, one of the local, Hindu societies put it on, and they basically have a 2-week-long, event promoting health, through yoga. So they had asked me to come and speak and to talk to them about health, because I'm a healthcare provider, and some of the benefits that we all noted through research, especially in the past 10 years or so, is greater amounts of flexibility, reducing blood pressure, and helping with pulse rate and easing respirations. So overall, there was a lot of benefit to participating in yoga or a regular exercise routine on a regular basis. So I just wanted to let you guys know that it is a benefit, and I enjoyed participating in this with them, and I hope to see more people there.
I did last year, but I didn't do the whole program. I think it was pretty good.
It's a workout. It is a workout, especially, I mean, I've done yoga several times, but in the quickness that they did the change, the different positions, definitely works your strength, definitely stretches you, and works on your endurance. So it was a great benefit, and I'm a little sore.
I think another benefit too is they held it within an existing business too, in the Academy for Performing Arts, which is good. To see the business supporting the community in that way. It was on a Sunday too.
Absolutely.
Time too.
Yeah.
I've done a little yoga. Is Namaste the neutral, like the neutral pose where you're not really stretching or doing much? That's my favorite one. That's why.
Yeah. So it's basically
that's
back to center pose. Yes. But it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed interacting with the community. And like I said, I certainly hope more people will come and participate. Cause, in fact, there's a World Yoga Day coming up in June, so that would be a good benefit to everyone.
You had a mat, you do it on a mat, don't you? At least I did it one time, and I realized that the mat is there, so when you collapse, they can easily carry you out.
Handles on the corners. All right, thank you very much for the report. With that, I will now move us to closed session. We have a opportunity for discussion with the town attorney. We all look forward to that, so I'm asking the council for a motion to take us into closed session for City of Fayetteville and the Public Works Commission of the City of Fayetteville versus North Carolina Environmental Management Commission, the North Carolina Department of Environmental and Natural Resources, and the town of Cary and the town of Apex issue.
What he said.
Is there a motion? Do we have a motion? Is there a second?
So moved.
All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. All right, we're now going into closed session, and let the public be advised that we have no further items on our agenda tonight. Thank you very much.